Hey, my name is Ray and you're watching Ray of Books, and welcome to the 20th installment of my currently checked out series. If you are new to my channel and have never seen any of my currently checked out videos before, essentially the purpose of this series is to share with y'all the resources available at public libraries. I live in San Francisco, so the San Francisco Public Library system is the one that I utilize the most often. However, I also utilize library systems throughout the state of California. At the end of each video, I'll be giving y'all a price tally on how much money I saved by utilizing the resources available to me through my local public libraries. I haven't done a currently checked out video in an incredibly long time, as you and I clearly both know. So, before I get started, I will say that all of the books mentioned in this video are listed in the description box down below, and each of those books has a timestamp as to when I actually start talking about it. So feel free to jump around, feel free to skip around. I really don't care about like my watch time or anything like that. I just want to share the books that I currently have checked out with y'all. So let me just hop into this, and everything in this video has been checked out over the course of the last 2 weeks. The first book that I currently have checked out is Rogue Street, and it's 3 novellas by Xuetao and illustrated by Tiang. This one I've actually finished already, and I give it a very solid 4 out of 5 stars. I'm not going to get into too much detail about all the things that I enjoyed about this book, because I do want to do a thoughts on video about it. However, what I will say is that each of these novellas is an absolutely amazing blend of mysticism, realism, and noir. And reading it was such an interesting experience, because there are moments where I forgot that this book or these novellas had a mysticism factor, and then it would pop up out of nowhere and I'd be like, whoa, what am I reading? And it was such a pleasantly jarring reading experience. Each of these novellas takes place in the author's hometown of Shenyang, and they take place in a district called Yafen Street. And from what I understand of this area is that it used to be a really heavy, popular industrial region, and then it turned into a bit of a slum once the jobs left that region. So the story chronicles this region's like rise and fall, and how it managed to go from poverty to riches and riches to poverty and back and forth. And it is an absolutely amazing novella. I cannot do the synopsis for it any justice, so definitely follow the link in the description box, because that one makes a ton more sense. The second book that I currently have checked out is By the Book, a Meant to Be novel by Jasmine Guillory. It's another book that I finished, that like I actually like finished the whole thing, and to me at this point in my life it feels very huge to have finished a book. So that was really exciting. This is the second book in the Meant to Be series, the first of which is If the Shoe Fits by Julie Murphy, and I absolutely loved that one, so I felt like I absolutely had to give this one a try. Basically, the Meant to Be series is a contemporary retelling of popular Disney princesses and princes. The first one follows Cinderella, and this one, By the Book, is of course going to be a riff on Beauty and the Beast. The main character, Isabel, or Izzy for short, is working at a publishing house, and she is trying desperately to earn the promotion that she feels she deserves. And let me be real, homegirl does deserve that promotion. She decides how she's going to earn this promotion and prove it to her boss that she does deserve it is by going to give this beastly author pep talks every single day until he turns in the memoir manuscript that he owes to her publishing house. So, of course, you can kind of already see where this one is going. I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. While it was an absolutely beautiful and touching story, and I may have teared up here and there, it felt like just something was missing, but it was still a good read. I would still strongly recommend it if you are a fan of unspicy romance. So it's a good one. The third book that I have currently checked out is We Measure the Earth with Our Bodies by Tsering, Yangzom, Lama. This is a thicker one, and I'm not exactly sure I'm in the right headspace or the right mood to read it now, but what did draw me to it in the first place is the little blurb on the inside flap, which reads, "For readers of Homegoing and The Leavers, a compelling and profound debut novel about a Tibetan family's journey through exile." And I absolutely loved Homegoing, and it's one of my all-time favorite books, and I absolutely love The Leavers. So I wanted to see what a Tibetan version of that would sound like or look like or read like, and that's what drew me to this in the first place. The story follows the families of two sisters in Tibet in 1959, and I believe it spans over the course of 50 years. So one sister, it sounds like, makes her way to Canada, and the other one sounds like she's in Nepal, I want to say. And there's also something about a statue that might have mystical powers or just might be really sacred to the region. Another one of the reasons why I was attracted to this book is back in my community college days, I took an English class and we focused on Bay Area activists. One of the activists whose work we were reading through was Canyon Sam, who wrote this book called Skytrain that is all about the Chinese occupation of Tibet and goes through all sorts of stories of all sorts of women from all classes and how they felt and coped with and were dealing with the Chinese occupation. And ever since then, I have been absolutely deeply interested in what is going on in Tibet and what Tibetan women have been doing throughout these years. It sounds very strange the more I kind of like try to say it, but one of the ways in which I learn about other countries and other parts of the world is through reading the literature of people who are part of that culture and community or who have familial ties to those cultures and communities. So that is why I grabbed this book, besides from the blurb in the front flap cover. So, dang it, maybe I'll read it. Maybe I'll give it a try. I'm not going to return it unread. I'm going to give it a few pages to read through. So fingers crossed I actually make it through. The fourth book that I currently have checked out is My America, Recipes from a Young Black Chef by Kwame Onwuachi with Joshua David Stein and photographs by Clay Williams. So I mentioned in my Fresh to Start video that I may have gotten a little bit addicted to cookbooks. Or I think I said I check out the occasional cookbook. But if I am 180% honest, not a week goes by that I am not checking out one or two cookbooks or checking the Bibliocommons catalog to see what new cookbooks are coming into the library. So I tend to check out a lot of cookbooks. I will say though that this one did not live up to the hype that I myself had built for it. I was really looking forward to seeing exactly what this chef was going to be doing with all of these different foods and cultures and regions of Africa, but unfortunately for me, not for the book, there are nowhere near enough pictures for me. It is a lot of stories and words, and I love stories and words obviously, but for a cookbook I need a ton more pictures. Like, I practically need a picture for every single recipe because I want to know how it is that the chef is making these foods and how the chef is presenting these foods. I can Google it, of course, but I want to see what the chef is doing. I want to see, I need to see it all. And I absolutely know that publishing a cookbook with a ton of pictures must cost a ton of money and also drives up the price of the book. But for me personally, it's just what I need. The fifth book that I currently have checked out is You Made a Fool of Death with Your Beauty by Akwaeke Emezi. This one has been all over my Instagram, my Twitter, my TikTok, my library life. It has been everywhere. So when my hold for it finally came in, I was super duper excited. It is actually the book that I am currently reading. I think I'm like a little bit over halfway through with it, and I I am loving it. I am absolutely loving it, and I don't actually want to finish it. Essentially, the main character, Faye, is going through a kind of life revival. Her husband died in a tragic accident 5 years previously to the events of this book, and she's at the point in her life where she's willing to take an attempt on a chance at finding love and a relationship. She meets this perfectly acceptable dude. They start dating, and then one day he invites her to go on vacation with him back to his island hometown, and she goes with him. While she is on this island, though, she meets perfectly acceptable dude's daddy-o, and it might be on and poppin'. Like, she is in extreme lust, desire, almost love with this dude's dad. And it sounds so incredibly messy, but it is the mess that I need at this junction in my life. It is the love triangle that I have been unofficially searching for. So I'm really excited to finish this book. I am absolutely loving how this author is writing this story. It is amazingly done. It is almost like this perfect blend of like urban fiction and contemporary fiction and romance fiction. Like, it's so good. It's really good. If you have not read this one yet, or at least started to read it yet, you must read it. Please. It's really, really good. I'm not lying to you. I might actually have to buy this one. So the sixth book that I currently have checked out is Must Love Books by Shauna Robinson. I actually have absolutely zero idea how I ended up with this book. The only thing I could think of as to how I came across this one is I must have been searching for books about books, and then I saw this one. I was like, ooh, a book about books, and then requested it because it's not exactly the type of book about books that I would go for. I've gathered from the synopsis that it's about this chick named Nora who works as an editorial assistant at a publishing house, and this is sounding mighty familiar, right? And she one day has her salary cut in half, so she decides to moonlight for the publishing house that she works at, rivaling publishing house. And while she's there, she meets this author named Andrew, and apparently there's some drama about that, and she has to make a choice between her publishing house, this rival publishing house, and who she really is. I probably horribly butchered that synopsis, but it sounds like that's what this book was about, and it's not exactly the type of book that I would usually read, so I'm probably going to return this one unread. The seventh item that I currently have checked out is a real life DVD. Like, I know DVDs are still a really huge thing, but I tend to forget about them. This is Medicine for Melancholy directed by Barry Jenkins and starring Wyatt, Cenac, and Tracey Heggins. I don't know why both of those names are so hard for me to say. This one was recommended to me in my last video when I asked about what are some of your favorite books, stories, movies, etc. that are set in San Francisco. And this one actually sounds pretty gosh darn good. It follows these two characters as they have a one-night stand and then spend the next day together in a rapidly gentrifying San Francisco. And it sounds really good, and from the trailer that I watched, it looks pretty interesting. I think I might try and watch it tonight, and if not tonight, then tomorrow night. So thank you for recommending this. I forgot who recommended it, but I thank you. And for anyone else, like, I'm serious, if you have favorite things set in San Francisco, let me know in like the comments down below so I can check them out, or attempt to check them out. You know what I mean. The eighth, I think this is the eighth. The eighth item book that I currently have checked out is A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy I. Lin. I think this might have been on an AANHPI book list, or no, I'm pretty sure it must have been on a book list, and that's the reason why I requested it, because I I can't think of any other reason why I would have requested this one. This one is a teen fantasy book, and the synopsis isn't necessarily something that I would go for. Maybe I was just trying to read outside of my comfort zone again. But anywho, the story follows this girl named Nina who's able to, is it Nina? Ning. The story follows this girl named Ning who is able to brew these magical poisonous teas. She brews one that kills her mom, and then she brews another one which has put her sister's life in danger. And honestly, I really think Homegirl should just stop brewing the teas. She decides that in order to find the cure for her sister, she's going to enter this competition going on in the kingdom to become the best tea magical brewing person. I don't remember the name that they use. Hold on. Yeah, it's a competition to find the kingdom's greatest Shenong Shi master. So it's someone who's a master at the magical art of tea making, which, judging from the very beginning of the synopsis, should not be her because she out here poisoning her family. Anywho, the winner of the contest gets a favor from the princess, and Ning hopes that she could use this favor to cure her sister. I don't think I necessarily like this synopsis, simply because I really don't think this girl should be brewing these deadly teas, and she should not be entering a competition to prove that she's the best if she's out here killing people in her own family with these teas. So I don't know, maybe I'll read it just to see how it goes. If anyone has read it, let me know before I start to read it, because I don't want to anger myself. It sounds interesting, like the concept of magical tea brewing sounds really, really cool. But the fact that she's just back-to-back poisoning family members has me confused and concerned. So I've mentioned that I have made a mini career change from being a teen services. Oh, that's why I checked that one out. It's a teen book. I used to be a teen librarian, and I probably wanted to read something that was in like the teen world, and this was a teen. All right, I know why I checked it out. I checked it out because I wanted to relate to the teens. That's why I did that. Okay, good. Anywho, back to what I was saying. I mentioned that I made the change from being a teen librarian to a children's librarian. So the next chunk of books are all middle grade books. So once again, feel free to please use those timestamps down below and hop around, because I know middle grade books are not everyone's cup of tea, and that's perfectly fine. But I need to be able to read these books in order to provide decent reader's advisory to the kiddos who are asking me to help them find books. So let's start the kiddo portion. So the next book that I have currently checked out is Swim Team by Johnny Christmas. I love graphic novels that look and feel like novels, and this one hits so many of like that feeling for me. So I was really excited for that reason. And I was also really excited because there is a black girl on the cover. There's a black girl on a swim team on the cover of a graphic novel. And that is something that I did not know that I needed until I saw it on the new book section. Swim Team is the story of Bree, who is super excited to start at her new middle school in Florida. She's moving from New York to Florida, and she is heartbroken to discover that the only elective open to her is Swim 101. Bree's number one fear is the pool. She doesn't know how to swim. But with the help of her neighbor Etta, she is able to learn how to swim, and eventually she becomes so good at it that she becomes her school's swim team and community at large's hope to win the state championship. It is such an absolutely beautifully touching and cliche and just all around perfect sport story. I loved it. Oh yeah, I completely read this one, by the way. Younger me would have given this 5 out of 5 stars and probably would have been far more motivated to take swim lessons, because not only is this a beautiful sports story, it is also an absolutely beautiful examination of why it is that some Black Americans do not swim. And There's a multitude of reasons. There is a ton of reasons why Black Americans tend to be like, I ain't touching that water. I ain't messing with that pool. I'll go to a water park, but you ain't gonna get me in no pool. You ain't gonna get me on no boat. And I happen to be one of those African Americans who's just like, nah, I'm good. I know how to swim, okay? I have a mean dog paddle. I have a really mean dog paddle, but it takes a lot to get me into the water. And one of the things that I really loved about this one, that even though it's geared toward middle schoolers, I think it's ages 8 through 12, is that in the back, in like the furthered reading section, there are 3 books that Jonnie Christmas recommends. Contested Waters, A Social History of Swimming Pools in America by Jeff Wiltz. Undercurrents of Power, Aquatic Culture in the African Diaspora by Kevin Dawson. And The Land Was Ours, How Black Beaches Became White Wealth in the Coastal South by Andrew W. Carl. So I'm actually going to try and check those 3 books out, because this one was really, really good. And I want to learn more about why I have this fear of pools in my soul. The next book that I have checked out is another graphic novel, and it is Wingbearer by Marjorie Liu and illustrated by Teny Issakhanian. I could not find the phonetic pronunciation of this, so if someone out there can show me the phonetic pronunciation or link to a video in which that last name is being said, I would greatly appreciate it. This is another one that I've actually finished. Young me would have given it a very solid 5 out of 5 stars. It's another one that's recommended for ages 8 through 12, and I absolutely loved what a beautifully illustrated, adventurous, and classical fantasy story this was. The main character, Zuli, has grown up surrounded by these bird spirits, or these bird spirit guardians, in something called the Great Tree. One day, the magic of the Great Tree is threatened, which in turn threatens the rebirth cycle of all of the bird spirits where she lives. So Zuli decides to go out and figure out what's going on with the magic, and with her comes her owl companion slash guardian, Frowley, who gives me very much Zazu vibes, and I love that. So that was definitely a hard star. Like, that was like, this deserves a star just for the Zazu vibes. I can definitely see kiddos who are fans of fantasy like falling in love with this graphic novel. It is beautifully illustrated, and if you happen to be an adult who has read the Monstrous series, which is also by Marjorie Liu, I would strongly suggest that you like delve into your inner child a little bit and then give this one a read as well. The next one, I feel like this is never gonna end. The next item that I currently have checked out is a song called Home by Sara. When I was browsing the new bookshelf and I saw the title on the spine, I was like, that orange looks really familiar. I bet this book has either something to do with the Golden Gate Bridge or something to do with San Francisco, and I was right. I'm telling y'all, I will read anything SF based, even if it's SF based for just like a millisecond. This story follows this young girl named Lou, who is moving out of San Francisco, sadly, for me, so that she can go with her mother to live with her mother's boyfriend. One day, Lou receives a mysterious gift on her doorstep, and it is a guitar. Lou believes that this guitar is from her alcoholic father, who has been relatively absent in her and her sister Casey's lives. Lou decides that she's going to learn how to play the guitar to carry a little bit of her father and a little bit of San Francisco with her to her new home. I am hardcore rooting for Lou. I am so stressed, but so deeply looking forward to reading this novel, because I do enjoy stories that have the main characters move out of San Francisco and how they tend to compare so much of their current city to different aspects of San Francisco. So I'm really looking forward to reading this one. I've bumped it up pretty high on like the urgency of which I need to read these books. So I'm excited about it. And once again, anything SF based, please leave it in the comments down below. Doesn't matter if it's like a kid's movie, a kid's book, an adult's book, anything. I will read anything SF based. The next book. I only have 6 more things to go. The next book that I currently have checked out is The Patron Thief of Bread by Lindsay Eager. This was a pure title grab for me because I was like, The Patron Thief of Bread, that sounds cool. That sounds really interesting. And I'm really glad that the synopsis lived up to the title, because I cannot stand when a title is so good but then the synopsis is garbage. So this one follows 8-year-old orphan Duck, who has been raised by this roving band of street urchins called the Crown. One day this roving band of street urchins decides they want to set down roots, and in order to do so, one of them has to pose as an apprentice. Duck is the one who decides to be the one to be posed as an apprentice, and she is apprenticed to a baker. And at some junction, she has to make the choice between her baker's apprenticeship and what she's learned and come to love there, or to be back with the Crowns. And it sounds like such an absolutely amazing, like, coming of yourself and self-discovery and self-learning journey that I cannot help but be incredibly excited to read this. And also, there is something about a gargoyle who is, what was the word? He is, there's a gargoyle on the roof of an unfinished cathedral who is weary of waiting to fulfill his destiny to watch and to protect. So I'm excited about that. And apparently this is also told in alternating viewpoints. So I'm really hoping it's told between like Duck and the gargoyle, because that would be really cool. And the last kiddo book that I've currently checked out is Wild Seed Witch by Marty Dumas. I like plants and I like magic, and judging from the title, I assumed that this had plants and magic, and I was not wrong. But what really got me was the cover, because I absolutely love seeing Black people with like plant-like magic. So this was just a dope all-around cover for me, and I absolutely had to grab it. And the synopsis also sounded really promising too. The main character is an incoming 8th grader named Hassani, whose main summer goals are just to get her YouTube makeup channel off the ground, or to expand it, and also to get what appears to be her divorced parents back together again. During an emotional episode or emotional outbreak, Hassani discovers that she has magic, and she is shipped off to a literal charm school that is filled with old money and old magic families. Hassani is the first in her family to have magic, so she finds herself constantly questioning if she belongs there, or if she doesn't belong there, how in the world is she ever going to get a handle on her magical abilities? It sounds like the previous book I was talking about, The Patron Thief of Bread. It sounds like, once again, a very interesting journey of like self-discovery, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to a magical self-discovery in a literal charm school. It kind of just a little bit makes me think of Legendborn, but maybe like a children's version of Legendborn. I don't know. I don't want to put anything on this book. This is its own book. So I'm going to read it. I'm going to find out. My mouth is getting mad dry and my lipstick is fading really quick. So the next chunk of books are all career development-y books. So I'm literally just going to breeze through them because I am tired. At this point, I am tired. All right. First up, we have Let's Talk About Race in Story Times by Jessica Ann Bratt. Obviously, this is about talking about race in story times. I do want to say, if anyone has any questions on any of these books, please just ask me in the comments down below and I will answer your question about it down there. But I'm not getting into each and every one of these books. Next up is Engaging Babies in the Library, Putting Theory into Practice by Deborah J. Knoll. I work in a children's library, so obviously I need to know how to put like babies at ease in the library. Followed up by Crash Course in Children's Services. This is the second edition by Penny Peck. I actually took a class with Penny Peck in grad school, and this is the book that we used. And I know that I bought it, but I have no clue where my copy is. I might have thrown it to the winds because I never thought I would actually be a children's librarian. So here we are. Here we go. And the next one is Summer Matters, Making All Learning Count. I truly intend on being a children's librarian next year. So for next year's summer, I'm trying to get ideas. Oh God, there's two more. Followed up by Creating Literacy-Based Programs for Children, Lesson Plans and Printable Resources for K through 5 by R. Lynn Baker. It's a library thing. It's a library thing. I got to do literacy for kiddos, so that's that. And the last book. Oh my goodness. Thank you, universe. The last book that I've currently checked out is Artsy Toddler Story Times, a year's worth of ready-to-go programming. This one I'm actually planning on using a lot of these on my kiddo Odyssey, so I'm excited. It has like little like print-outable like coloring pages. Yeah, it seems like a really cute book. All of these are for career development purposes, so fingers crossed that they actually help me develop my career. So the question you must all be having is, how much did this incredibly huge pile of books that I have checked out from the library saved me? It saved me a lot of money. A grand total of $554.86. $554.86 I saved. I did not have to pay out of my own pocket. That is insane. That is an insane amount of money. I really hope I don't somehow manage to lose like every single last one of these books, because that's a bill I can't afford. And it would not be a currently checked out video unless I asked these questions. 1, what do you currently have checked out? And if you do not want to share that information with us, it's cool. I understand patron privacy and all that. The second question that I have is, how do you learn about new regions, new cultures, and new countries? For me, it's always been through reading literature of people who either belong to that region, culture, or country, or people who have really close familial ties to that region, culture, or country. So let me know in the comments down below how you learn about new places. If you would ever like to hear me babble about books ever again, please hit that subscribe button. And if you just enjoyed this video in general, please give it a thumbs up. It helps out the algorithm, and I absolutely think it makes my day. So please do. I am running out of steam and energy. Yes. So thank you all so much for watching. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day, taking care of their mental health to the best of their abilities, and reading absolutely amazing and wonderful books. And I will see you in the next, hopefully way the F shorter video. Bye!